Hi, hello. It says I'm live. So, hey, did I title this? I think I did. I did. So, whenever you see like Ramble in the title, I'm probably just talking or I'm talking a lot. Well, that's like every video. Um, I'm just coming on before I don't know if I'm taking a nap or if today is just going to be like a cry day or a sad day. It's almost Friday. Is it? No, it's Thursday. Um, I just had a conversation, a really good conversation with one of my best friends, one of my closest friends, with one of my journey buddies. And I know lately ish, I've been thinking like more and more about how like overly critical I can be sometimes. And usually I like justify it. Honestly, this is going to be like not necessarily extremely heavy, but again, like since I say the things that I say, as strong as I say them, I think it's also important that I like talk about these things, or at least show this side. Um, but it came through a few days ago. There's probably a video on here, and I was like, wow, I feel like I just called myself out or something. I know I talked about it at the end of a video where I feel like in a lot of ways, I've become a lot more critical than I am compassionate or patient or understanding. And in a lot of ways, at the time, it was justified because of whatever I was experiencing mentally as a result of what was happening socially and the response of some of the people that I'm friends with on Facebook and other point and in real life. And a little bit of, I guess, maybe the shielding that happened in that way. And then June is when I started coming into my voice and actually voicing some things rather than just thinking things. And one of my personal narratives, honestly, it was challenged a few months ago. But at that point in time, I saw it and I was like, wow, like I can't believe it. But by the end of the day, I had already like moved on to something else. But today it's like actually sticking with me. Today has been such an interesting day. Today feels like almost like an extrovert day. Like I want to talk to people I haven't talked to in a while. I'm not really the type of person to like reach out to people, especially don't like I don't just call people. Even when people will be like, "Oh, like you should like call me sometime, like reach out." Um, and so Emily, she's been on my mind heavy for the past few days, so I just gave her a call today. She's the one I was talking to. Um, but at some point in that conversation, I guess I realized like, and I feel like if you watch me, you probably wouldn't be surprised. I feel like if you know me, you probably wouldn't be surprised. I think if you really know me, though, I think the people who really know me know that I'm not judgmental. The people who really know me, like, I don't know. I promise I don't have any Virgo in my chart, but sometimes it's like I might. Maybe it's the mixture of Taurus and Capricorn, or it's that Capricorn, Uranus, and anyway, not F, but astrology aside. Um, but I think I've been like extremely critical of myself in a way that I never really noticed it or saw it. Like one of the narratives that I've had since I got my first C in the seventh grade. Well, a few things happened when I got my first C in the seventh grade. Around that. A lot of things were happening mentally in Patrick's mind at that time. And when I got my first C, it was like, oh, like the world doesn't end. I don't have to put effort into anything. Cue a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I'm like super self critical. And I've always had this narrative, or I've had this narrative for a long time of like me not living up to my potential. At the same time, there were things that I knew like was affecting me. I'm not really like I can be very open about things, but I'm not the most vulnerable person. And I know I literally just said like forget zodiac, but I think that's a quality that a lot of Pisces can have. Because we can share a lot with people, but for myself personally, I don't necessarily like I'm not open with the things that I'm actively going through. Like if I'm actively going through something, I don't really talk to people about it. For me, it's like I don't trust them to handle me when I'm in that vulnerable space. And that's something that I've also been coming out of, learning my way out of since 2018. Because I think 2018 is when I actually like started medication for depression. I was on Wellbutrin, if you're curious. And then I ended up talking to one of the buddies that I'm trying to go see before he leaves the country. Um, and so I had to be open and vulnerable with him. And that's when that whole thing started. But it's like, besides that, I don't really talk about things with people. And so, like, my mind, it's constantly going, y'all hear how I talk about stuff on here. I talk to myself the same way, basically. And it's just like, I feel like part of me understood what I was going through mentally and emotionally throughout life, but I never really gave myself like grace when it came to anything. And honestly, there's a part of me that's never felt good enough, or there's a part of me that would often feel like I wasn't enough. And I used to attribute it to my mom because I was like, no matter what I do, it's never good enough for you, blah, blah, blah. We actually, it was almost a year ago after quarantine started, in the beginning when tensions started to rise and stuff came out, but we had those conversations between ourselves. And so, like, that tension didn't carry out throughout the whole thing and nobody ended up stabbing anybody. But I blew up one day because she was talking about the dishes. And I was like, oh, well, why don't you just do it? Because nothing I ever do is good enough and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, she was probably like, what? And then that probably triggered her because she's done the best that she can do to raise us. She was like 21 when she had me. There are people who have kids younger, but like that's been a thing for her. And so when I said that, it triggered her. We were both triggered. And but then one day we had a conversation. And now I'm not gonna cry, but I just feel like it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I was literally just talking about this with somebody like a few days ago. I was like, when we realize how we hurt ourselves, then it hurts on a deeper level in some way sometimes. But I thought it was because of that. But like that's not true. It's always been this narrative that I've been carrying that like I'm not living up to my potential. Like I could do better, but I'm not. I was lazy, I would procrastinate, but in my mind it's like, well, why put in effort if it's not going to be good enough anyway? Some people, if they have a challenge of like self-worth, can lean into like doing too much to prove their worth. I just did the opposite. I didn't do anything. And again, it's like I never really took into consideration what I was doing or what I was going through in life. And it's like it's really hitting me today. That it's like, wow. And I think it's important. There's a lot of things that I'm kind of sort of going through and learning to accept, learning to become a lot more compassionate, less judgy. Also, I recently found out something that made me go like, "Wow," because I've really had a one-sided view about this. And I'm not above apologizing. I'm not above admitting when I'm wrong. I also believe that, and I've said it before, that like in the moment I see or experience what I need to see or experience to get me to learn what I need to learn. And I know that it may not be necessarily reflective or indicative of the truth. But when you talk as strongly as me, like that's something that I hold within me. It may not be something that's necessarily like visible or seen. Um, but it's like there's a lot that I'm learning when it comes to others, when it comes to myself. And honestly, there's a lot of things that I just can't take with me into the next phase of life because not only does it like not serve me, it's just like in some ways it takes me out of who I am. And it's honestly not who I want to be. So I don't know. This was a little, I guess the moon officially is in Pisces. So the moon may not be new today, but we're getting that sun, moon, Pisces energy. Let me check and make sure. I'm pretty sure it's in Pisces. I woke up to a notification that said moon in Pisces. Sometimes on that app, they send out the notifications before it actually enters. One second. Oh yeah, it's in Pisces, 2 degrees. My sun is in astrology. I don't know. It's just things that I guess I'm wrapping up before I head into this new spring. And it feels really heavy, but it feels heavy in a good way. Like there's a part of me, if I think about it too much, I'm actually going to cry. But there's a part of me that's really happy to realize it. And it really blows my mind because it's like, it's a way that I've like thought about myself for so long and I didn't even catch it. And it's like it was making everything mentally worse. And mentally, things are very, very not great for a while, which is why I worked so hard, which is why I at least tried to work so hard when I started my journey, and which is why I don't, or I wasn't really allowing myself maybe the patience or the time or understanding or whatever. But in some way, it was a continuation of what I was already doing. And so just to like be able to recognize it within myself, it feels like really validating. So I'm gonna go cry now. It's fine. I feel just like self validated in a way. So that's what I got. I had to get it off my chest in a way or something. I had to like come on here and say something because again, I know how strongly I talk. I'm human too, as much as I may try not to be sometimes or whatever. And it's like again, like what really blows my mind is like I didn't even know how much it was affecting me until I saw it. It's a good thing I had Starbucks this morning because it's a good thing I started off my day doing something. All right, y'all. Hopefully, after this new moon in Pisces, hopefully after Aries season starts, life will begin. Um, and if it doesn't, it will. It's time for me to start doing things. and not procrastinating anymore. It's time for me to release the rest of the internal garbage that keeps me in the dumps sometimes. And I like, and another thing, it's like I feel like I've been saying for a while now, like I can't wait to be like compassionate again. I can't wait to be this again. But I guess I really had to go all the way to like really see what I was doing or something. I don't know. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment. I am going to actually sit with this today because when I originally came across it, I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. And then I moved on. And I think I do that a lot, which is another reason why I made my word for 2020 integrate. Because I have like these little breakthroughs all the time, but I don't really sit with them long enough to fully unravel and unpack them. And I'm not trying to keep visiting this over and over and over. Like I'm not trying to like I'm trying to learn the lesson so I can feel better and I can love myself in a way that I can actually feel that I love myself, you know? All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.